How's everybody doing today? So in manifestation, you got to realize that you are creating the universe around you. Your perception of reality from yourself is what is projecting into this parallel reality, or reality that you're living in, or shifting into a parallel reality. Now, one may think that, oh, if I'm manifesting and co-creating, if I'm changing things around me, then the other people around me are being affected by that change, and they could be like a victim of that circumstance. This is true to an extent. When you start realizing that we're co-creators, let's say I'm here creating my scene and you're right there creating your scene. We meet together in real life. My perception of my reality doesn't change much in my creation. Now, their reaction to you can have kind of a small change in effect, but your power in your parallel reality still resides. It's hard to explain, but there's several different versions of you, and depending on which parallel reality you're in, you're creating that scene around you. So you're thinking that, well, if everybody's creating all their scenes around us, things would look a lot different. That may be true, but because we're not in a the people of Atlantis, they kind of had the knowledge of how their thoughts create a reality, and that's how they built their society with technology. They had a concept and they understood it, and they knew how to work together in such a way to where it actually worked, and they wanted to tell the world. But who knows if it happened or not. But when we're going into this new awakening, we're all waking up to it, and we'll see the world change around us for everybody. Because when we start realizing we're co-creators, then things will change around us. But for yourself right now, you don't have to worry about other people. You want to focus on your manifestation in your reality right now. And a great example of this, I wanted to share this movie with you guys before, but I kept forgetting about it. But now I remember because it deals with airplanes, and I like airplanes, and I watch flying videos and stuff like that. But anyways, there's this movie that came out in 1986. They actually called it an episode. So if you're trying to look it up, it might be because it was an episode of, like, I don't remember if it was Twilight Zone or it was some, like, on a documentary channel. But anyways, the movie was called The Mission. It actually starred Kevin Costner and Kiefer Sutherland, and they were flying a B-17 bomber, and they were on their way back to base, and they realized the landing gear was broken and it would not retract from the plane. They tried everything they could. They tried to bust the hatch open, crank on it. The crew on the inside were desperately trying to find the landing gear, because what had happened was, during a battle, their gunner on the belly pan of the aircraft, the bubble gunner that sits underneath the B-17, if you've ever seen one before, he was trapped inside. They couldn't get the metal open enough for him to get out of the bubble at the bottom of the plane. That's why they wanted the land gear so bad, because he was going to die, because the plane was going to crush him if they skidded across the runway, right? Well, the belly gunner, he was afraid, and he was kind of like praying, but he wholeheartedly believed that he could save himself. And he was a cartoonist, like he was a belly gunner for the Army, the Air Force or whatever, in World War II. But he drew cartoons on the side. He had like the sketchbook, and he was stuck in the belly pan of the plane while they were flying back, and he sketched the B-17 aircraft with cartoon wheels landing perfectly on the ground. So he drew the B-17 to like lifelike image, but he drew these cartoon wheels on the plane. And what happened is those cartoon wheels manifested in reality, popped out of the plane, and the pilot landed the plane on these cartoon wheels. And as soon as they got him out of that bubble canopy on the bottom of the plane, the cartoon wheels disappeared, and the plane just kind of like slammed on the ground from like falling like 4 or 5 feet or whatever it is. But he believed, he had so much faith that those wheels were gonna manifest by him drawing it. And what he was doing was like he was creating his reality using a vision board. He saved himself by creating the wheels on the plane that weren't there. And I know it's a fictional story or whatever, but he went from 3D to 5D reality, and that's what we can do in manifestation. Now, the stuff that happens to you might not be that outlandish, where you're drawing a cartoon and the cartoon appears out of like a cartoon like rabbit starts running in front of you. I mean, I guess it could happen, and people have seen that in like hallucinations and stuff, but your manifestation takes a little bit of time. It's not like instantaneous where I told you, where a 3D, boom, the basketball's in your hand, but it will get there eventually. And if you guys never seen that movie, it was like 1986. It's called The Mission, and it was like a short film. It was like 45 minutes long or something like that. Just look it up with Kevin Costner. And anyways, it's great. And it's like it had like it was like really emotional. It was really well filmed. It was Steven Spielberg that directed that one. So of course it was like emotionally good. But you feel the emotion of the character who was stuck in the bottom, and his friend was putting his arm down the little hole, holding his hand, because he was afraid that it was like his best friend was going to die when they crashed the plane. But if you watch that movie, you'll really have an understanding of how visualization works in manifestation, and that's why I wanted to tell you about it. So as always, I greatly appreciate you guys watching my videos, and see you on the next one.